Okay, yeah, that's all with about me. So I have a total of 14 years of experience. And if you want to connect with me, you can connect via LinkedIn or Twitter or whatever it is. In LinkedIn, it is Rajul Ross. You can search for my profile. And I've been working on SCCM products, that is basically starting with SMS 2.0 from 2005. So it's been a long journey with SMS. And basically with the cloud management gateway, I got chance to design and implement for a dozen of customers. So pretty much I have started with the cloud management gateway from the pre-release version of 1610, which was initially introduced. So from that time onwards, I am working on the cloud management gateway. So let's go on with the agenda. So this is our agenda today, basically covering most of the areas in cloud management gateway. And I know most of the people are having a lot of questions regarding the certificates and cost. So I'll be taking more on the certificates part. Okay, let's start then. So when we talk about the internet-based client management, so IBCM is the legacy approach. So we have to start with IBCM. So I know still a lot of customers are there who is using IBCM. So even if they want to implement IBCM, they can very well go, but Microsoft recommends to go with the modern method, that is the cloud management gateway. So just to give a brief outline about how IBCM works and how is the flow. So you need to implement a new site server in the DMC. That will be your MP or DP or sub. You can have all the roles in one single server and use the certificate for the one single server as it's like ibcm.fq, your company name.com. And once that is done, you need to open the firewall between your corporate network and the DMC. So once that is done, your IBCM server will be active, and then comes the connectivity between the uh, client machine, that is your laptop, the remote laptop, when it connects from the internet. So this is the main challenging part here. Like when the laptop tries to connect from the internet, you need to configure the reverse proxy, that is a web proxy. So you can use there are a lot of web proxies available. So based on the customer which you are working, you need to configure the web proxy to allow the traffic. So there are different methods where you can configure the web proxy, either through the SSL bridging or SSL tunneling. So if in case you are using SSL bridging, the web proxy will stop the connectivity at the proxy level, and it verifies the data packets, and then only it sends the packet to your IBCM server. So that is what it called SSL bridging. So you need more certificates at the web proxy level. So web proxy uses the server authentication and workstation authentication certificates. Or else you can use the SSL tunneling. SSL tunneling is a less secure method where the data packets are directly sent to the IBCM server through the web proxy. There is no packet verification. And the third method is like just natting. I have seen customers just do the natting from public IP to the your IBCM server IP. So that is the least secure method, and we should not follow that method. And next comes the advantages and disadvantages. So the main advantage of using IBCM is that you don't need an Azure subscription. You have the full control of the. Somebody wants to. Okay. So you don't need an Azure subscription, and there is no download cost involved. All the traffic will be coming to your corporate network, and it will be all the corporate network download. So there is no cost involved in the Obviously, there will be the internet charges, but it is not as much as like the Azure download. And you have the full control of the servers, the IBCM server. And for disadvantage, the main disadvantage is the complex network configuration. So, as I said, the SSL bridging and SSL tunneling configuration, it's not that easy. It's very complex. You need to coordinate with your network team. And main thing is that what I faced is that the network team will not be able to understand what we are saying, and we will not be able to understand what network team is saying. So it will be always a hell kind of situation. And you need to use a web proxy for this configuration. So web proxy is also a requirement. And on-premise server infrastructure is exposed to the internet. That is, your IBCM server will be exposed in the internet. So these are the advantages. Okay. Now let's go to the cloud management. So what is cloud management? So cloud management was introduced initially in ConfigMgr version 16.10. It was a pre-release feature. And then later it became a full release in CM 1802. So by that time, there was a lot of changes from 1610 to 1802. And from 1802 to now 2002, we see a lot of changes. So Cloud Management Gateway is evolving from its first release to the current version. So it is a Azure PaaS solution. So what is PaaS? PaaS is it's a platform as a service, which means that Microsoft solely controls the environment. So you don't need to worry about how the cloud management gateway is getting passed, or how the network is configured, or how the Azure and the network NSG is configured. You don't need to worry about anything. So everything is managed by Microsoft. And ARM based deployment. So initially it came with cloud based classic deployment. So from 1802 onwards, classic deployment was ARM based deployment came in, and from 1902 onwards, I think classic deployment is not there. Okay. So what are all the prerequisites? So if you want to go and implement cloud management gateway in your hierarchy, you have to take care about these prerequisites. You have to be ready with all these prerequisites. So you need to have an Azure subscription. That is mandatory. You need to have certificates. There are different certificates requirement. We'll cover that in detail. And you need to have one management point in the hierarchy. It should be on HTTPS, or it should be on the enhanced HTTP. So enhanced HTTP is one of the latest feature which came recently. You can use enhanced HTTP, or else you need to have an HTTPS MP. Integrate with Azure AD. So that is one of the important thing where you need to add Azure services. You need to create the server app, client app. So what is this server app and client app, where it is used? So when you deploy a cloud management gateway, you will be signing in with your Azure Global Administrator permission, and you will be creating a server app. So once the server app is created, that server app will be acting as an authentication method for afterwards. So it will be creating a security key, and based on that security key, all the authentication happens later. So you need to log in with the global administrator privilege account only once. So later it will be taken care using the server app. Then what about the client app? Where is the client app used? So the client app is used while installing the client agent from the internet. You will be providing the client app ID and all the CMG names, CCM host name, all those things when you're installing the client from internet. Basically, if your machine is having the required certificate, and or if the machine is joined to Azure AD, you will be able to install the client. So next thing is service connection point should be online. So service connection point is a server where you will be having the primary site or on the cache wherever you are downloading the updates. That is your config manager updates like 1902 or 1906, whatever. So that service connection point should be online, and all the Azure deployment happens through the service connection point. And there should be one on-premise server to install the config manager, the cloud management gateway connection point. So this connection point will be a will be authenticating with the cloud management gateway and pulling all the information from CMG and returning it back to the management point. We'll cover that in detail in the flow. And clients must be on IPv4. That is one of the requirements. So if the client is only responding on IPv6, then cloud management gateway will not be working properly. And full administrator privilege on the config manager side, and global administrator and subscription owner on the Azure side. These are the access two access requirements. Okay, now let's go to the certificates. So certificates, you need to have server authentication, workstation authentication, and root certs. So where and all we'll use the server authentication certificate. So we need to have a server authentication certificate on the management point to convert into HTTPS, and one server authentication certificate on the cloud management gateway. And workstation authentication certificates should be there on all the participating workstations. That is, whichever laptops or desktops, whichever is going internet, those machines should be having workstation authentication certificate. That is individual workstation authentication certificate with the DNS name. And root certificate is nothing but the root CA of your PKI infrastructure. So that root CA is required while deploying the cloud management gateway. And the last one is the management certificate. This is no more required. If at all you're getting confused with what is management certificate, this certificate was used for deploying cloud management gateway during the initial days where the classic deployment was there. Now we are purely on the ARM based deployment, so we don't need the Azure management certificate, so you can avoid that. So public certificate. So everyone will be seeing whether we need to go with public certificate or PKI. So it depends on the organization where you're working, what is the requirement, whether they want to go for a public certificate or they want to go with the PKI certificate. So if you're looking for the public certificate, you can go for the third-party vendors, and you should go for the standard SSL certificate. And when you're requesting a third-party certificate, you need to go for create the CSR. So CSR is a certificate signing request, where the CSR will include the service info, like what is the name of the cloud management gateway which you are going to deploy. So you need to provide all those details, and the key type and length. So the key length should be 2048 minimum, and the key type, what is the key type, and the public key. So that public key will be created from your machine where you are going to install that certificate. So these are the few third-party providers which I used for implementing. So you can also look out for the whichever vendor you want to go for. And what you need to look for is the guarantee. So these companies provide security guarantee or warranty. So companies like Symantec and DigiCert, they offer a warranty of 1 million. So if there is any security breach using this certificate, they are giving a warranty of 1 million. So based on that, the price will increase. So you can decide whichever company you want to go for, and based on that, the security will be. So how do you create a CSR. So there are multiple methods where you can use to create CSR, but I found this DigiCert certificate utility very much helpful. It's just you need to just provide the details and click. That's it. So otherwise, if you are using the cert util command, you need to go and find the exact command. You need to find what all parameters you need to include. So it's a bit messy, and this tool is very much helpful. So what you need to take care is that whichever machine you are using this tool, you need to create this CSR from that machine, and once you get the certificate from the third party vendor, you need to import that certificate in the same machine. You need to do it in the same machine. You cannot do it create CSR in one machine and import the certificate which is provided from the vendor on a different machine. That will not work, because once you create the CSR, you provide the CSR, and the third party vendor will be giving back a file which is in the format either .cer or .p7b. So you need to import that certificate here, so that your public key and the private key from the third party vendor will be merged, and you will get a PFX format. You can export a certificate in the PFX format. So that is the certificate which you need to use in Cloud Management Gateway. So the Cloud Management Gateway certificate should be in .pfx format. Okay, so you need to be very careful while you are generating the CSR. You need to use the same machine where you're generating the CSR. So what happened to me is that when I created the CSR for one of the customer, I created on my laptop, and after a few days, within the next two couple of days, the laptop got formatted. So when I got the certificate from the third party vendor, I was not able to create the PFX from the cert utility tool, because the initial laptop which I had, it got formatted. So that is something which you need to take care while creating the CSR and working with the third party certificate. Okay, now let's go in detail with the certificate. So there are a lot of questions related to certificates. So which certificate we need to use, whether to go for third party or internal PKI. So we'll explain one by one. So if you're going for the internal PKI, you need to go for a server authentication certificate on the MP, and now server authentication certificate on the CMG, and the workstation also should be having certificate. That is the all the laptops which are roaming in internet. So you need to have an internal PKI infrastructure. There should be a CA server. So if you're having a CA server, you can very well use the PKI certificate. But if you don't want to go with the internal PKI, you can choose only whether you want to go with the CMG service. That is, when if you are going to use the third-party certificate, you can use only in CMG certificate, CMG. So you cannot use third-party certificate for the workstations. It is not recommended, because each third-party certificate is having a cost. So if you are managing around 1,000 workstations, and each workstation, if you are procuring a third party certificate, it will be very costly. And another thing is that it will be very hard to manage. Like normally a certificate comes with 1 year validity, or just consider if you're going for the two-year validity. So by the end of first year, uh, after almost 18 months, you need to renew the certificate. How do you renew this certificate? It will be a hectic manual process to renew the certificate on each laptop one by one. And in between, if the machine got re-imaged, then those users will be coming back and saying, okay, my machine is not connecting from internet now. So that also will be an additional overhead, that is administrator overhead. So don't go with third party certificates on the workstation. So only third-party certificate will be possible on the CMG. That's it. Remaining all should be happening through the workstation certificate on the client machines. So in this, like I mentioned here, the internal PKI issued server authentication certificate on MP client machines. And if you're using a CNAME third-party certificate, you need to create the CNAME. So that is another important part. So you will be requesting a third-party certificate with the CMG name.fqdn, your intranet fqdn.com. But when you deploy the cloud management gateway in Azure, cloud management gateway will be creating that in the CMG name.cloudapp.net. So you need to create a mapping between your intranet FQDN to the cloud app FQDN. So that should be done in your internal DNS as well as in the external DNS. That is a must. Otherwise, if you are using third-party certificate, your the workstations will not be able to find the CMG name. Okay, let's go to the enhanced HTTP. So enhanced HTTP is like it's a new feature where you can enable the enhanced HTTP on the MP, where it will create the config manager generated certificate, and it will be using the client machines will be using that certificate for the authentication. So this is mainly used for machines which are Azure AD joined or hybrid joined machines. So if the machine is having if your customer is having all Windows 10 machines, and if they are on 17 or 9 or above, you can very well go for this method. You don't need to go for the PKI infrastructure. You don't need to look out for the PKI certificate and all those things. Only requirement is that either it should be Azure AD joined or hybrid joined. So normally when the authentication happens through the Azure AD token, so the machine will be getting either the device token or the user token. So based on that, it will contact the CMG connection point, which is having the enhanced HTTP. So these are the 3 certificate options possible, and you can use this according to your requirement. So whichever you are finding easy, that can be done. So in enhanced HTTP, there also we can use a third-party certificate, and also you can use a wildcard certificate. If your company has already purchased a wildcard certificate and they want to use a wildcard certificate for CMG, they can very well use it. But wildcard certificate is not recommended from the security perspective, but it is possible, not an issue. Okay, so now let's cover the data flow. So when you are deploying the cloud management gateway, you will be creating the server app, the client app, and once that is all done, you will be signing in and creating a deployment by providing the certificate. So initially it will happen. So from here, the cloud, the service connection point. So service connection point will be deploying the cloud management gateway, and once it is deployed, you need to install the connection point. So connection point will make a connection to cloud management gateway, and in turn, it will be creating a channel within that connection. So that is why you see a black arrow going to the cloud management gateway, and there is internally there is a white arrow coming back. So within the connection made by CMG connection point, that is an outbound connection, it is creating a channel back to CMG connection point to pull all the information which is from cloud management gateway. So you can say that it is only unidirectional connection from CMG connection point to cloud management gateway. You don't need to open ports bidirectional. So it's only an outbound connection. Okay. So that is second. Now once the connection point and the cloud management gateway is done, the client machines which were initially in intranet, it has gone to internet. It will automatically switch to cloud management gateway. It will say that, okay, the domain join machine is now internet. It is looking for the changing into the internet facing management point, and it will change to cloud management gateway, and it will start connecting to cloud management gateway. So if you are using a PKI infrastructure, you need to have a root CA here. So root CA, without root CA, you will not be able to connect to the cloud management gateway if you are using a PKI certificate on the cloud management gateway. Okay, so once that is done, the connection is established to cloud management gateway, and once it is done, the CMG connection point will be pulling the information from cloud management gateway, and it will be sending it. The CMG connection point will be sending it to the corresponding management point and software update point. So that is how the flow happens. And once it is forwarded to the management point and software update point, these roles return back the information for whatever the policy the machine required. It will be getting the policy, and whichever the software updates or the application, based on that, it will go to the cloud DP and software update. So if it is an software update package, it will go to the Windows update. And if it is a third-party application, like if they are downloading a 7-zip or Google Chrome or SAP package, it will go to the cloud distribution point. So this is how the flow happens. Now, when you're sorry,
Yeah, don't we
anyone
need
asking?
the cloud management point on the Azure?
No, you don't need a management point on Azure. So the cloud management gateway acts as a reverse proxy. So all the request which is coming from client, it is redirecting it to the CMG connection point, and CMG connection point is redirecting that to the required management point and software update point. Okay.
Okay,
But
got it.
what about Office 365 and Windows 10 feature updates if you have to install them over internet?
Yeah, all those things will be coming from the Windows update.
Yeah, but Office 365, they are published on a separate CDN URLs, and even the Microsoft, Windows 10 feature updates also, they are also published from a different CDN, but they are not available in the update catalog.
Yeah, it will not be there in the update catalog, but you will be able to download that. So in the location services, not in the location, so in the content transfer manager, it will be showing that, okay, the location what we require is for the cdn.download.cdn or whatever it is. Those location will be provided for the client.
Okay.
But
Now,
how does it how does it receives the policies then?
so the policy, it is getting from the HTTPS MP, which is in on-prem. So
Okay,
client
okay,
makes a connection from here to cloud management gateway. The request is redirected, means is going to the connection point, CMG connection point, and from connection point, it is giving the details to the respective management point and software update point. So once it reaches the management point, it gets the policy back to the client machine.
okay, okay.
So, Rajul, one question: do our resident management point and proxy management point play any role in this?
So that is a good question. Like if you want to use the existing management point, you can use that and convert that existing management point into HTTPS management point. But if you are having around 20,000 or 40,000 machines, and if you want to convert into HTTPS, you have to do a lot of work with the certificate. You need to have a certificate on distribution point. You need to have the certificate on software update point. All the certificate, it will be a heavy lifting for you. So whenever I design a cloud management gateway, I introduce a new management point here. and software update point, convert that MP and sub into HTTPS, and I'll select only allow internet, only allow internet traffic. So only the internet traffic will be coming to the HTTPS MP and sub. Did I answer that question for you?
Yes, Rajul, very much. Thank you.
But yeah, Rajul, so in the same context, so if we want the communication on HTTPS intranet also, so what option we need to select then? Client both internet and intranet on HTTPS.
Yes, allow intranet and internet.
Yeah. So both the options we have to check it.
Yes, you need to select allow intranet and internet traffic. So what I will say, there is a problem with that when you are converting the site into HTTPS. So if just consider, like, if you're having 2 to 3 management point in your hierarchy. So you are managing around 70,000 machines in your hierarchy, and you started with one of the management point converting into HTTPS, and you selected allow intranet and internet traffic. So what happens is that immediately all the MP connections will be moving on to this HTTPS MP, and this HTTPS MP will be choking out. So if you're not having the boundary configuration where preferred management point, then all the machines will be connecting to the HTTPS MP, because that is by design. All the client connections will prefer to choose HTTPS connection. So you need to be very careful while configuring those settings. So first thing is that better to configure with allow internet traffic only. Once everything is stable, then you can change it to allow intranet and internet traffic.
Rajul, I have question to the same topic. So suppose if I'm using enhanced HTTP, so in this case, will the MP will support both sort of traffic like HTTP and HTTPS both coming from client?
Yes.
So
Yes, that will be.
in this case, suppose if I have 50,000 client and I have 2 MP to manage them, so I need to have enhanced HTTP on both, or is it fine that if I just change one into enhanced HTTP and let the other MP to be HTTP?
Yeah, that is also fine.
In this case, there won't be any issues, right, with enhanced
No.
HTTP?
No.
Thank you.
Hi Rajul, while requesting the third-party certificate, can we request with cmgname.cloudapp.net and avoid creating CNAME?
No, for third-party certificates, it is mandatory that you need to use the intranet FQDN.
Okay, thank you. And when we use enhanced HTTP and we use third-party certificate, so what certificate we give to the clients?
So that is what, when you are using enhanced HTTP, you need to have all the machines either joined to Azure AD, or it should be an hybrid join. So once the machines are joined to Azure, the machines will be getting the Azure AD token, device token, or the user token, whichever it will take.
Rajul,
Azure AD, then enabling enhanced HTTP is not an option, is it?
Sorry?
The
I
machines
didn't get you.
are registered with Azure AD, then enabling enhanced HTTP is not an option.
No, for Azure AD registered, it is not an option.
Rajul, client side, do you only have to make it as an internet client? Internet client, is it mandatory, or we can use some other options? Currently the user is in internet, he can use a cloud management gateway. When he comes back to office, he can use the normal DP. Is it possible?
Yes, obviously it is possible. So that is why I said, like, if you place a separate server with MP and sub as HTTPS, once the machine comes to the intranet, it will communicate with your HTTP roles.
Mm-hmm.
So there is no requirement that it will be coming back with HTTPS only.
No, but we have to set the client at a client side. We set as an internet client, right? No, what I understand is it not required mandatory?
No, it is not mandatory that you need to mention it as always on internet. So you're talking about the registry value where we can set it for
Yeah.
always internet, right? No, no, it is
Yeah.
not mandatory.
Okay. Any challenges for the user-based deployment, if you think in these scenarios?
User-based deployments, you need to
Application
have
deployment.
the Azure AD discovery. The user discovery should be there enabled.
Okay.
So apart from that, I don't see any problem.
Okay. So this will not work in a multi-tenant environment, right? For Azure tenant discovery for a multi-tenant. Okay.
Yeah, multi-tenant, again, you need to create the Azure services for different tenants.
Okay. So is it possible you can do?
Yeah, you can have CMG in one subscription, and you can have the multiple tenants added. So that is mentioned in the Docs website, Microsoft Docs. It is there.
Okay, thank you.
Rajul, when we
So
use the
Rajul,
third-party certificate CMG, and you recommended not to use that for clients. So how the client will authenticate the CMG over internet?
So let's go to the third party, and so here you take the CMG as the third party certificate. So either you go for DigiCert. Okay.
Yeah.
So DigiCert is the third party certificate, and when a machine is installed, when an OS is installed, it will be having the required third party root CAs. So if you look into your machine, you will be able to see DigiCert, Komodo, Entrust. All these third party providers root cert will be already available. So it will be using this root CA to communicate with the third-party certificate in the DigiCert. I mean, in the CMG service.
Thank you.
Okay. So any more question
Rajul, this
on
is
the?
Gopal here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rajul, this is Gopal here. So in the same context, like if we have on-prem DP, so in that case, we also need to have the cloud DP, or the in on-prem DP can also work for the client.
No, as of now, on-prem DP will not work because right now it is only for MP and SUP. All URL redirection happens for MP and SUP. DP, you cannot download content from the on-prem DP. So instead of that, you have an option for a checkbox where when you install the cloud management gateway, you can enable the cloud DP also in this. There is no requirement for separate cloud DP. You can enable the cloud DP on the cloud management gateway itself.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Hi, Rajul.
So in that case, the content will be distributed to the cloud DP, or
Yes,
how the
content should be distributed to cloud DP. That is your third-party applications. Your application packages should be distributed to cloud DP, but you should not distribute your software update packages to the cloud DP because software update packages will go to the update.
internet.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how the client will know that it
On the question.
Yeah,
Just on the question of
at a time.
Sorry, just on the question of clients downloading software from the internet instead of from the cloud management gateway. What if you've got the clients that are actually run from a private cloud and they don't have internet access directly? How do you handle that? Can you actually opt to host your software updates on the client management gateway for the client to download them?
Oh, I didn't get your question properly. Could you please repeat once again?
Okay. I've got a situation where my company is got private cloud, which is which they host, and they've got proxies and all the stuff set up there. So the machines don't have a liberty of going directly to Microsoft side. So I need to know if I need to host my software updates on the client management gateways distribution point instead, because the clients won't be able to go and download the software update themselves.
Okay, so what you can do is there are certain URLs where you can whitelist it, so that if you whitelist those URLs, it will go and download from the Microsoft update. So only the particular URLs. If the machine is not having the internet connection, it's fine. But if you whitelist those URLs, it will be able to download the content.
The
There is
question
no
which
way.
this person is asking is like that that the machine is not allowing the company is not allowing to go to the external URL. Then how we cannot do whitelisting of those URL. Then this scenario will not be possible.
Yeah,
So
it
can
is
we
not
host the
possible.
cloud management gateway? The cloud management gateway on private cloud. First thing is this.
No, private cloud is not possible. This is a PaaS solution, so it is only on the Microsoft.
Yeah. Hey
But
Rajul,
the
how's the
client
processing
management
on the
gateway is
Azure?
okay on the.
Sorry, I didn't get.
Sorry,
I didn't get.
I was saying that the cloud management gateway is okay in Azure, it's fine. But the only problem is the machines are allowed via the proxy to be able to see the cloud management gateway and nothing else. So if you try to download the updates from the Microsoft Cloud, it's not going to happen because the machine, the only way they can get out of their own network is to go to the CMG and only the CMG.
Okay, so in that case, you're saying like the machines will not be able to connect to any of the Microsoft URLs. So, but again, if you do that, if you distribute to the cloud DP, then there will be a lot of cost involved with the download. So normally, if you consider like if you are distributing the patch content, and each machine will be downloading around the 400 to 500 MB minimum, and if you're managing around 1,000 machines, so that will be a huge download cost involved for you.
Thanks a lot. I think that answers my question. I'll put it forward to the network guys and see if we can maybe allow them to go to the update sites for Microsoft. Thanks a lot.
How good we can manage the operating system deployment, like in place upgrade or as is migration?
It is only in place upgrade. You can do only in place upgrade, and no other task sequence are possible. Means I mean the through no boot images and all those things. Only the in place upgrade.
Guys, I'm really sorry to interrupt. Vishal here. I would say let Rajul complete his presentation. I'm sure we all have a lot of questions, and I'm hoping most of them will be answered along the way in the presentation. If we still have any questions at the end of the session, then probably ask the questions at the end. Because right now I don't see Rajul is able to complete his content or proceed with the presentation. I'm really sorry if I offend someone.
Okay, thanks, Vishal.
And mute yourself
It will
even
pop
if you are
out question.
shooting the. We are getting the echo of the speaker voice since many of them have connected the laptop without headset. So
Okay, let's move on to the next one. So the design principles. So when you're designing the cloud management gateway, what all things you need to keep in mind? Like first one is the selecting the Azure region. So which region you need to implement the cloud management gateway? How do you select this? So if you're having a primary site in US and most of the machines are segregated around the entire US region, and your servers are in New York region, so where do you place your cloud management gateway? So that is the main thing which you need to look out for when you are designing the cloud management gateway. So in that case, I found this URL very much helpful. That is the azurespeed.com. You can also check going to the azurespeed.com, and that this website will give you the latency between the machine which you open this website and the Azure regions. So what you need to do is you need to open this website from the machine, from the server where you are planning to install the cloud management connection point, because we are not very much concerned about from where you are deploying the cloud management gateway, but we are concerned about the CMG connection point, because CMG connection point and CMG makes talks very frequently. Excuse me. So all the communication will be happening between the CMG connection point and CMG. So there should be minimum latency between the CMG connection point and the cloud management gateway. So I'm talking about this part. So you need to select the minimum latency Azure region using the this particular website. It will give the details like how much millisecond the latency is from the server and the Azure regions. The next one is the site system conversion to HTTPS. So as I mentioned, if you don't want to do the heavy lifting of converting your entire hierarchy into HTTPS, you can just place a new server and convert that server into HTTPS MP and HTTPS WSS and connect the cloud management gateway and allow only internet traffic. So that can also be done, so that the whichever the internal intranet machines, like whichever servers, your desktops or any other machines which are already there, they don't need to be converted into HTTPS. They can work with the existing environment and you will not be troubling the existing hierarchy. So but if you are converting the entire hierarchy into HTTPS, you may be troubling the hierarchy and there may be some downtime. So to avoid minimum downtime, you can do this particular method where you can configure it without any issues. So again, scaling. So you need to really consider the scaling option. So whenever you deploy a cloud management gateway, you can deploy with a single VM, and if you want, you can add additional VMs. So you can add additional 15 VMs. So total will be 16 VMs. So that will be 16 in the back running in the background. And if you don't want to go for the 16 VMs, you can just check out how many machines are making the concurrent connections. You will be able to see that once you deploy the cloud management gateway, you can see the max concurrent connections in the last 30 days from the console. So looking into that, you can identify how many VMs you need in the background. So I would say initially go with one VM, and then based on the requirement, you can increase the VM. And also you need to go for a separate resource group. So why I am saying this is that in initial days when I deployed in the existing resource group, and one fine day the Azure team, they cleaned up the resource group. So I was not able to see the cloud management gateway which was deployed 2 or 3 days before. So it is always recommended to go for a separate resource group and create a resource group lock for that. So no one else is accidentally deleting the Azure resource group. So if the resource group is deleted and your cloud service is deleted, there is no other way. You have to recreate the deployment. And this enable CRL is if only required. So this is one of the main concern with most of the people, like if they are using the PKI infrastructure, and if their PKI infrastructure is not published in internet, you should not enable this CRL option. There is a check mark when you deploy the cloud management gateway. So that is very important, because that will create a lot of traffic, unnecessary traffic between the client and CMG, and that will also add up to the cost. Yeah, that's it with the design principles. These are the main things which we need to think of. And this is for the network ports and the URLs which are required. So if you are using a web proxy to connect between the CMG connection point, you need to enable these URLs. That is, you need to whitelist these URLs. So this name will be your CMG name.blob.core.net and CMG name.table.core.windows.net. So these are the URLs which should be allowed through the proxy. And as like normal firewall enable, you will not be able to provide a server IP, that is the CMG service IP, prior to the deployment. So what happens is that when you deploy the cloud management gateway, it will deploy the cloud management gateway in Azure and it will create a public IP. So after the deployment only, you will be able to open the firewall request. So you may be receiving the request from network team. Okay, provide the server, the client IP and server IP. So in that case, you will not be able to provide. So once you deploy, then only you will be able to provide the server IP, that is the CMG service IP. And if you're using the Azure AD user discovery, you need to enable these URLs in the proxy to whitelist. And the main thing is that normally when CMG connection point connects to the CMG, it uses the TCP TLS 10140. And if it is not able to make a successful connection, it will fall back to 443. And if you are using multiple VMs, that is, if you are using more than one VM in the Azure, then it will fall back to the 10124 or 10139. So this you will be able to identify from the SMS Cloud Proxy log from the CMG connection point. Okay. Now comes the coexistence of CMG and IBCM. So I see there are a lot of customers now who were using IBCM. They implemented CMG as well, and they started complaining that, okay, I implemented CMG and my clients are still connecting to the IBCM server to download the content, and it is not going to the cloud distribution point. Why is that? So by design, the content source priority order is like this. It will select from 1 to 10. That is, it will go one by one. And you see the cloud distribution point priority is last one. And before that comes the internet facing distribution point. So whenever you have the IBCM and CMG together, the content distribution will be normally happening from the internet facing distribution point. And policies, it will take randomly from CMG or IBCM. It depends. It is we cannot control that. And I think there are some user voice for we should have some options to control this, whether CMG or IBCM. So you can look out for those user voice details. So here comes the cost estimation. So cost estimation is always a tricky part. We cannot get an exact cost estimation for cloud management gateway because the prices change every now and then, because cloud management gateway uses an Azure A2 V2 VM in the background. And when I checked a few months before, the price was around $177. And when I check today, it is somewhere around $96 per month. That is the charge Microsoft is charging per month. So these are the few criteria where you can calculate your cost. What will be the cost for your environment? So all upload to cloud service. That is whether it is your cloud DP, it is free, and all the request which is coming from client to the cloud management gateway, it is there is no charge, but all the requests which is coming from cloud management gateway to the client, that is charged. So In that case, what I'll say is in the docs website, there is a calculation for per machine. It is estimated around a minimum 300 MB of download. 300 MB download for only for the policy. So policy for 300 MB. So if you are having 100 or 1000 or 2000 machines, your download will be based on that numbers. So you will be looking out for the for few GBs based on this policy, and this policy size is based on the default settings. So if you have changed your policy download client settings from default 1 hour to some 30 minutes or some other number, and also the software evaluation, deployment evaluation, scan your software updates, scan, software updates, deployment evaluation, assignment evaluation. So if those are customized, then the policy download will be more, and you cannot exactly calculate how much MB each machine will take. So this is just an estimation purpose. It is mentioned 300 MB. So here it is like the download cost is given here. So if the download cost is in between 5 GB and 10 TB, it will be $0.087 per GB. So how much GB, how much machines you have multiplied by the policy 300 MB, that will be and multiplied by the cost will be your policy download cost. Apart from that, if you're using cloud DP, so cloud DP will be, the storage will be different. So if you are having around 500 GB of cloud DP, means your packages, those packages will be stored in the cloud DP as blob. And Cloud DP is using the LRS, data redundancy as LRS, locally redundant storage, and you can calculate based on that. So there is a price calculator for the storage. You can go to this link and see the storage. You can select the blob and you can select the LRS. So based on that, you can calculate the cost. So this is on the cost estimation. Okay. On troubleshooting, how do you troubleshoot the cloud management gateway? So you have the connection analyzer. You can use the connection analyzer to connect either using the Azure AD user, or you can use the client certificate. The Azure AD user, you can just use any Azure AD user. It should not be, there is no requirement that it should be a global admin or subscription owner, or nothing required. You can use just a normal Azure AD user and connect using that by logging in and using the username and password, and you can run the test. It will give all the test details, and if there is any failure, you need to look into that. Or else if you want to connect with the client certificate, you need to provide the client workstation authentication certificate with private key exportable. So that is something different. Normally the client certificate will not be having the private key exportable. So you need to request with your certificate authority team for a particular certificate for client authentication with private key exportable. Otherwise, I would say go with the Azure AD user itself. If you have, you can connect and find it out. And few of the logs, which log you will check for the details of the cloud management gateway. So if you are looking for the deployment, so deployment will be cloud manager log. So when you are installing the cloud management gateway, all the installation details will be in the CloudMgr.log. And later you made some modifications to the cloud management settings and you selected the update configuration. So that also will go to the cloud manager.log. So all deployment based details will be provided in the cloud manager.log, and this log will be available on the server where you are having the service connection point. Okay, and when you want to check the connectivity between the CMG connection point and CP. So this is the log which you need to connect. So connection point and CMG connection initiation will be shown in the cloud proxy connector. If there is any problem with connectivity, you need to check this log. And if you see any connection error in here in this log, it will be either with the port connectivity, that is a connection from the on-prem server to the CMG, whether the network team has not opened the port or it's not able to uh, initiate a connection. And if you want to see the client connectivity, you can see the CMG service log. Here it will say like how many the client number of client connections which is active on CMG, and this log will be available on the server where you have the service connection point. Either it will be a primary site or CAS. Okay, that is with the troubleshooting. Now, what's new with Cloud Management Gateway in 2002? So, most of you in current situation, the challenge is that your client machine is on internet and you're not able to install the Cloud Management Gateway. So you deploy the Cloud Management Gateway, and the client machines which is on internet is not able to identify because it has not received the policy even. So what the product team has given us is that it has given a new method where a token based authentication. So with those machines which don't connect to the network often or not joined to Azure AD or don't have an option to enroll a workstation certificate, we got an update in 2002 where we can register to the existing environment using a token. Either you can use a individual token or you can use the bulk token. And if you're using a bulk token, you need to use the bulk registration token tool from the 1902. Once your hierarchy is upgraded, you will be able to see the bulk registration token tool.exe file. You use that and create a token, and you provide that token in the client installation file. So you need to have the CCM setup of CCM setup file of 2002 version. So you can use that and install the client, and that client will be reporting to the config manager hierarchy. So that is a new feature which has been released in 2002. Yeah, that's it. And now you can ask questions.
So, Rajul, I mean, just about this 2002. So, suppose if I have upgraded my infrastructure to 2002 and I have that bulk registration tool and I have the setup, but how I'm going to install that client on a machine which is not connecting to the to the corporate network?
Yes, you need to send the CCM setup through some other method.
Like
client configuration package. You need to create the package and send it to the user by email or FTP or some other method.
Okay. Then we need to install it, and then this token mechanism will work.
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't do much experiment on that. So once I do, I can update. So this is the normal procedure, because what I understood from the procedure is that you need to provide the 2002 setup file and use the token and use the token command line, the parameter, and install the client. The client will be creating a connecting to the CMG, and CMG will be requesting for a token. And once the token is received, it will be used for further communication.
Rajul, I have one question. CMG and the service connection point, it communicates only one. I mean, when I see that even if I create the multiple CMGs in the cloud Azure, it is able to communicate only with one. I mean, establish the connection between service connection point and the Azure CMG. It's showing only one. I cannot create multiple based on
You
the
can
region.
create multiple. You're talking about multiple CMG, right? Not multiple VMs in a single CMG.
And
Are
a
you talking
single
about in a single CMG? Multiple. Are you talking about multiple VMs or you are talking about multiple CMGs?
multiple VM.
Multiple
Okay,
VM, yes.
I have the cloud connection gateway. I have the one cloud connection gateway. If I go to the Azure, I can able to create the multiple CMGs points, connection points, multiple connection points. So
Okay.
I created 3 to 4 connection points, and I routed them all to the service connection point. So there I can able to map one service connection point with one CMG.
Okay, you are talking about you deployed one CMG and you installed for 2 to 3 connection points.
Service connection point is one, and cloud management gateways are multiple.
See, let's go back to the diagram here.
Okay.
So, service connection point will be here. Okay.
Yes.
On the primary site. Okay. So service connection point will be used only for while the deployment of the cloud management gateway, or if you make any configuration changes to the cloud management gateway. Okay. Remaining all connection happens via CMG CP and the cloud management gateway. So if you install multiple CMG CP, that also will connect. You install one more here, that also will connect. So all the CMG connection points will be connecting to cloud management gateway.
I can create multiple CMGs, right, based on the regions with the service connection point, with a single service connection point.
But Shrikant, what's the purpose behind multiple CMGs?
Based on the regions, I can create multiple. That's what I'm. Suppose one CMG can allow up to 6,000 clients. So, and also based on the region.
If you're thinking about load, just increase the instances.
Not load as well. Like depends on the regions. I can create multiple CMGs. So that's.
I hope you know that CMG is not region centric.
I know. I'm just asking. I created testing purpose. I created. I'm just asking whether it can be binded to the one service connection point to the multiple management cloud management gateways or not. Okay, no problem. And one more question, Rajul. The DMG. Can I manage the DMG machines which are in the machines which are in the DMG? Can I assign the machines to the cloud management gateway or not? What are the ports that I need, and what are the sites that I need to allow?
So it is there in the ports details. I think ports details are here 443 for the client. So all 443 connections will be client will be connecting through 443, and also if the machines want to download the updates, whatever software updates, then those URLs need to be whitelisted. So that I can send you the list of update URLs which need to be whitelisted. So if that is the case, then very well you can use the machines which are in DMC to connect to the cloud management gateway, provided you should have the certificates.
Okay, fine. Thank you very much.
So Rajul, one question. So with respect to the coexistence, just to say in an infrastructure, if already IBCM is configured and now we are trying to configure CMG, can we use the same MP and SUP points now as well?
You mean the IBCM MP and SUP for CMG?
Yes, yes.
That's a good question. Yeah, I think you can do that.
Sorry, here this Prashant. So yeah, I mean you can use that. You can use the internal or external. That is possible.
So Prashant, have you worked it practically and it's working, right?
Yes. I mean, okay. So let me tell you. So we manage like more than like 5 lakh machines, 500,000 machines in our infra. and we have like many primaries and secondaries, and we are into CMG now. And you can use the existing MPs actually for the for CMG. You can do that.
Okay, Prashant. Yeah, thank you.
And
Yeah,
and regarding
Rajul,
the
will we be getting this presentation?
sorry, and regarding the concurrent connections, right? What we have, you can increase from 6 to 10K for each VM instance, right? So as per Microsoft document, they say 6K, but you can increase to 10K for each VM instance. That's possible.
And
So,
Prashant, is the
Prashant,
6K
just
is
one
concurrent
question.
connections or
How do you?
total limit?
I'm sorry.
Is it 6K connections? Is it concurrent connections, or is the limit that 6,000 clients can manage?
No, it's concurrent connections actually. 10K
Okay.
maximum it can manage for each VM instance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Karthik.
Rahul,
I
one
just
question.
have. Hey, I'm sorry. I need to ask this question.
Yeah.
I'm very sorry. I have got an IBCM infrastructure in place. I know it's a CMG session, but it's a very quick one. I need. So I've got an IBCM in place. Is there a
Okay.
way that I can monitor this IBCM line? What is flowing on that IBCM line? That's one thing that I need from a CCM. Two is I deployed an application and a patch via to this IBCM line. But what is happening is, so let me tell you how I've deployed. I have set the deadline of an application or a patch to starting 3 months from now. So if I am starting a deployment today, the deadline is set to 3 months from now. What I want to do is I just wanted to download it and install it on the deadline. But what is happening to the patch is as soon as it gets downloaded, when the user boots the machine, the patch is getting installed. And the only option, as far as I discovered right now, is the software center option where, there is a business hours setting that is getting set. You know that in the software center, there is allow business hours, allow applications and patch to install outside business hours. That's the only option that I see is triggering this. In other words, right, I wanted to stop this, or so only the download should happen. It should never install. Is it something that you could suggest right now? How can I stop this?
So is this through the IBCM server?
Yep.
Okay. So for the first question, there is no option where you can monitor.
Mm-hmm.
So that you don't have an option to monitor what is happening through the IBCM server.
I see. Okay. So, okay, that's fine. So then I would rely on my network team to monitor that line. And they can, I just wanted to see how many connections are actually running on the CMG, on the IBCM line. This was my intention of asking, because in SCCM, you can actually pull it for the normal distribution point from the, one of the reports, but for the IBCM, it's not coming. So that was the reason why I asked this question.
Actually, you can do it through a different way. Like if you are, if you can create a collection based on the device online management point. So
Okay.
if that will show the IBCM server as the management point for machines which are connected through IBCM.
No,
so
not making sense to me.
when you go to the collection, when you expand open a collection, you will be able to you can select the view for device online management point. I don't have the exact
Is this already
so
available
console.
in 1906?
Yes, 1906 it is possible.
Okay,
So
so
when you
I
go
have
into
an
the
expert.
collection and when you go to the top, the view details, that is icon, name, client type, and all those things will be there, right? You just right click on that, you will see device online management point. So
Okay, let me
that
make
will
some
show
notes.
whether the client is connected through your on-prem management point or your IBCM management point. So you need to create a collection based on this device online management point, and make it incremental so that it will be updating every now and then. So if you want to monitor the real time data, anyway, it is not real time. It will be near to real time. That's it, because these informations are coming through the BGB and it will take some time to process. So mainly 5 or 10 minutes delay will be there.
Okay. What about my second question?
Oh, second question I forgot. So
Okay, let me
you were
explain you again.
so
So
yeah.
I'm deploying a patch. What is happening is I set the deadline for the patch to install after 3 months. The patch is getting downloaded. I have no problems. The only problem is if the user reboots the machine, the patch is getting installed. But as per the understanding, if my understanding is right, if I set a deadline, it should never install. It should only download. And I'm seeing this that it's getting installed.
Okay. Probably you can use a maintenance window.
That was
Install only.
my second option, but I don't want to use maintenance window for several reasons within the organization. No. But first of all, right, I wanted to understand this behavior. If you said,
Karthik, sorry to cut you. So this is Anup
yep.
here. So
Yes,
is this related to patching, right? This question is related to patching, right? It's not directly related to CMG, isn't it?
well, no. In other words, if this is happening only on the CMG or the IBCM, in the normal distribution point, it's working. So I wanted to understand if this is a behavior in IBCM or CMG. Is somebody noticing this, or is this how it behaves? You're getting me, right?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how that is happening because
Exactly.
yeah.
So
is there any local policy or something to be configured to auto install or something?
No, there is nothing.
I
As
think we
far
need
as
to take this offline, Karthik, or if you can wait
Yeah, no
until
problem.
the end of the presentation or question and answers, then that would be great.
Not really. I'm on a P1 call, so I just joined this just to ask this question because I'm implementing this already.
Yeah, we cannot take any emergency occasions right at the moment, right? So
That's okay. I mean, if I was just checking if there is an answer. If not,
yeah,
the only idea
I don't
was
know
the
that.
maintenance window.
I don't know
Okay.
that.
Okay, no worries. Thank you.
Hey,
Hi, Rajul.
hey,
Is
Rahul,
there
got a
any
question.
specific
With respect to
subscription
the
plan that we have
certificate,
to recommend to customers for this CMG Azure subscription?
No subscription. There is no specific subscription. The only thing is that the classic compute should be enabled. So in your subscription, that is the only requirement.
Yes, adding to the Rajul point, this is Kannan here. Adding to the Rajul point is storage and classic is treated, but ensure that your subscription should not be a trial version on your account. Okay, yes, Visual Studio subscription should have the permanent one, not a trial one.
Yeah, that's a valid point. You should not use the Visual Studio trial subscriptions.
Hi, Raju.
Rajul, quick question.
So any CSP subscription should support this CMG, or because we have our customer is having a CSP subscription, but he says that this will not support the CMG.
So what you need to check is if you have the access to that subscription, you can just go ahead and type cloud service, and you can just click on create cloud service. If that is allowing, then definitely you will be able to create the cloud management gateway. You can deploy the cloud management gateway. But if it is not allowing you to create a cloud service, definitely you cannot use that subscription.
Hey, Rajul. So, with respect to the certificates, we can use the internal PKI certificate and the root certificate, and then we can get only the third-party certificate from for the cloud management gateway, and that should work, right?
Yes, it will work.
And then the internal PKI certificates are only used on the management point, whatever we are trying to convert into HTTPS, and the client certificate is going to be deploy to the missions, right?
Yes, all participating machines should be having individual workstation authentication certificate.
And what's the role? According to the Microsoft document, it says like you even though you can use Azure user discovery to deploy. To make the connections to the cloud management gateway, and it's been even listed in Anoop's blog as well. So I was kind of a bit confused. What's the use of Azure AD user discovery?
So Azure AD user discovery, I'll explain that. So you are managing the machines which are joined to Azure AD or hybrid join machines, and you don't have any PKI certificate on those machines.
Yeah.
Okay, so those machines will be having the certificate which is provided by Azure. Okay, so when you install a client agent on those machines, it will first check whether it is having the certificate from Azure. If the certificate is there from Azure, it will try to connect to the cloud management gateway, and cloud management gateway will pass that request to the connection point, and connection point will in turn pass it to the MP. MP will look out for the user, which user is requesting that that connection. So it will check the discovered Azure AD discovered users, whether it is there, this user is there, part of the Azure AD discovered users. If the user is available in the database, it will pass back the token. So that is how the connection happens for Azure AD joined or hybrid joined machines.
Okay, I see what you're saying. But I'm in our organization. We don't have Azure Discovery for. We don't do hybrid join for the missions, but we have Azure User Discovery for Office 365 purposes. So that's not going to work then.
Yeah, this Azure AD user discovery is mainly required for user-based deployment, or if the machine is not having any PKI certificate, then it will be useful.
Even though the mission is not joined to the hybrid join, or even if the mission is not joined to the Azure AD.
No. It is mandatory that the machine should be either hybrid join or Azure AD join.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I meant. And
Yeah.
one more quick question, Rahul. So let's say if the missions, which hasn't not, which was not connected to the network for a longer period of time, they already have the SCCM client installed, and they already have the client certificate, which are like from the from the PKI server, which has been deployed to those missions. If we stand up the cloud management gateway, and then use the same certificates from the internal server authentication certificate to deploy those things, so then there is no need to deploy any new SCCM client, right?
So you deploy the cloud management gateway, and the machine which you are talking about has not connected to the network for a long time. So that machine will not be able to get the policy, right? So
Yeah.
in order to get that policy, you need to install the client with the Azure AD tenant ID and all those with the command line parameters. So if you install with all those parameters, you can bring this machine connected to the on-prem, the SCCM. But provided you should have the certificate. The certificate
Yeah.
should be valid, and it should be within the range, like when it should not be expired.
Yeah. So the only option is to install the client again on those missions.
Yes.
But our end users wouldn't have the admin rights to install the client. So is there any way like we can get the policies for them, just like kind of invoking WMI policies, or something like that, or changing the registry values to point it to the cloud management gateway and refresh the policies, or something like that?
That is, I have tested that scenario where we need to modify few registry entries, where we can add the cloud management gateway FQDN into the registry, and few machines have reported and few have not reported. So I don't have the clear-cut answer for that. So you can very well try, but why I'm saying is that few of my machines have started communicating after modifying the registry. That is, I added the cloud CMG FQDN into the registry.
Okay. Okay. Or
So
the best
it's
option
kind of
could be.
mixed result. So I cannot give you a firm answer on that.
And do we need to uninstall the old client and reinstall this, or just install, do the in-place upgrade of the client on those machines?
If you're modifying the registry, you can check just without uninstalling. But if you are trying to install with the Azure ID, tenant ID, and all those information, you can reinstall with the uninstall the existing one, reinstall with the new command line.
Okay. And we can deploy the same client to all the missions which are already, reporting connected to the network and contacting to the internal network properly via VPN and all those kind of stuff, right? So that it can flip automatically, whether it's on intranet or internet, if we deploy the latest client with the Azure tenant.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Hello. Yes.
Hello. Yeah, this session is recording.
Yes.
Can I configure CMG?
I think so.
Somebody is asking the question. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Rajul, Santosh this side.
Your voice is very low. Is it only for me or for everyone?
For everyone.
Your voice is very low. Can you speak a little louder?
Yeah. How about now?
Oh, it's
Same.
very feeble.
Still the same.
I'll ask in chat.
Rajul, I have a quick question. Actually, I have a banking environment wherein all the outgoing connections are completely blocked. So, so the question is, the service connection point initially we have to configure the Azure service, right?
Yes.
So for that we need a 443 port to be open to a specific URL. So how can we get that that okay, this is something which we need to open to configure the Azure service in service connection point from the network side? How we can request for that thing?
So definitely your environment will be using a web proxy to restrict the internet connections. So you can ask the network team to whitelist a few URLs. There are few URLs where you need to whitelist, and that is the same which will be applicable for downloading the config manager updates as well. So apart from additionally few URLs are there which I have provided in the presentation. You can add that also into the whitelist list.
Okay, for the initial communication between our service connection and Azure.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
And Rajul, I have one
Rajul,
question. Like, is there any way where we could find the unique IPs, public IPs that are connecting to CMG, excluding this VPN, not VPN, only the public IPs?
I didn't get your question properly. So are you talking about the CMG public IP or?
No, a number of unique clients that are connecting to CMG through raw internet without any VPN.
Okay, I answered that same question, right? So you can create a collection based on the device online management point. So if the machines are connecting through CMG, you can create a collection where it will show the device online management point. I don't have the option to show that to you. I actually.
Okay.
I think you already have a post about the same, right?
Yes, I have a post exactly, Anup. Yeah, that
So if
post is there. You can create the collection using that.
Rajul, so I have a question, like what kind of the licensing I would be required from server side and the client side to set up this CMG?
If you're having the SCCM environment already running, you need only the subscription, Azure subscription. You don't need any additional license for this, setting up the cloud management.
Okay, and what about the client side? Do I need some Intune licensing or email license or some
No,
other kind
no,
of
no.
license? Or
Just for setting up the cloud management gateway, you don't need any license. If you are setting up uh, co-management with Intune, then only comes the Intune licensing part.
okay, so if I do a
Hi,
co-management, I will
Rajul.
need a Intune
Thank you
license.
very much. Your session has been completely useful. For the one quick question is like what are the main logs from the client end and the server end when we do merge? For example, if a client is there in internet connection or VPN connection from home network, and we just want to know from where exactly it is getting downloaded. I know the usually the traditional way is to check data transfer and content transfer, but to be accurate, which log we can we should be referring, and usually in a traditional way the downloads are happening within the CCM cache folder, right? So through
Yes.
CMG, where it get downloaded.
There is no change in that. You need to look into the same logs. You need to check the content transfer manager from where the content is getting downloaded. If it is from Cloud DP for your application, it will be showing the Cloud DP URL. And if it is for the software updates, it will be showing the ds.downloader or cdn.download, whatever the URL it is showing in the content transfer. So everything, it will be the same, no changes. It's just getting the content from the policy from CMG and content from CDP. That is it. It's just like your MP and your on-prem distribution point. No changes in that.
Rajul, how can we check the replication? Can we troubleshoot from the DP through CMG and CMG to client?
Replication in the sense your content
Uh,
replication to
yes,
Cloud
content.
DP.
We have distributed the packages to CMG. So I need to monitor. I need to check the replications, how it is working, or any failed the replication through CMG to DP or CMG to client. So apart from the logs, how we can check if any
You
failed
need to
package?
the same log file, same monitoring window, everything same, nothing, no differences. There is no additional logs. If you are distributing a content from your primary site to the Cloud DP or your CMG DP, then I would say just check the distmgr, and once the distmgr creates the job, you can check the package transfer manager. Package transfer manager will show whether it is getting copied or not. If there is any failure in the copy, you can identify why it is failing.
Apart from the logs, any services we need to from the CMG?
There is one more service where the cloud, I don't remember exactly the name. What was the name?
Okay, no problem.
Let me check. I think I can give you the name. Cloud User Sync. No, Cloud. CMG Content Service. That
Okay,
is
thank you.
another
Only one
log which you can.
this
Yeah, that is
mail.
another log which you can check.
Okay, thank you.
Hi. So one quick question is like I have an unique scenario. Like when we do the patch deployment, we have an option to get the contents downloaded from Microsoft updates. So basically,
Yeah.
since it is costing, when we do get the contents downloaded from CDP, it is costing, right? So we just wanted to direct the download or traffic from Microsoft directly using the user's home bandwidth. So in that case, how we can verify if that is happening? Any logs or any services we can monitor?
So in that case, what you need to make sure is that first you need to check your deployment, software update deployment. In that deployment, whether you have selected the download from Microsoft Update. If content is not available in the near distribution point, download from internet. If that checkbox is selected, then you can go ahead and look into the client machines, this one, content transfer manager log. That will give you the exact information, whether it is downloading from the Microsoft Update or whether it is connecting to the your Cloud
Look.
DP.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Hi, Rajul.
Hey,
This is Madhu here.
Rajul.
Yeah.
Okay, quite
Yeah,
sorry.
Madhu.
Yeah, I have one question. So in the design principle, you said that we need to select the service connection point and the Azure region in the least bandwidth. So in that, if I have a primary server in Sydney and I have like a client in all over the world, like US, Africa. So I have one primary standalone primary server and 13 secondary servers. So
Okay.
in that, how we can go for the design principle here?
So you have the primary site in Sydney, and you have most of the machines in Australia region, or you have client machine segregated all over the world. So it depends
Yes.
on what you need to look is you need to reduce the latency between your CMG and your CMG connection point where you are planning to install the CMG connection point. That is the main thing, because uh, this cloud management gateway is not geo aware, like from which geographical area the client is connecting, it's not aware. So if you deploy two CMGs, the client will not look for which is nearby. So what you can do is only reduce the latency between the CMG and your CMG connection point. So that is why I said use the azurespeed.com and find out the minimum latency to which server you have.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Rajul.
So
Can
Hey
we
Rahul.
configure CMG
Yeah, one more
without
quick question. CMG supports autopilot as well, right? Or does it only support in-place upgrade?
It supports in-place upgrade. Autopilot
So
is
it doesn't support.
different. It's a different. You need to enable co-management, and then only that is from the Intune side, right? Hello.
Yeah, that's correct. You know, if you have
Yeah,
co-management as
that is
well
from
enabled, yeah, then can you use autopilot as well or no?
No, autopilot is a different scenario.
Okay.
Rajul, I have one question. So I have a scenario like I have an infrastructure, so already been set up, and all the clients are in intranet, and it is working fine. So right
Okay.
now I have a situation where all the clients are in internet and have a requirement to configure CMG. So in that
Okay.
case, I have configured the CMG, with all the certificates. But however, the CMG URL has to be pushed. By default, it will push to all the clients if they are in intranet. But right now they are in internet. So in that case, the CMG URL cannot be pushed. So in that scenario, I have one option, right? The client can be connected via VPN and the CMG URL will be pushed automatically. So if at all
Yes.
the clients are, there are a few clients where the VPN connectivity will not be there. So in such scenarios, what can be done?
Okay, so in such scenarios, that is what I mentioned in the what's new in ConfigMgr 2002, that the product team has come up with a very good idea of using the token registration to bring those machines into CMG. So if your hierarchy is upgraded to 2002, you can use that feature to send out a package to the customer, and if they are having the admin rights to install, they can use the token and install it.
Yeah, I understand, but right now we are in 1910, but 2020, I mean 2002. I'm not sure how that will happen, but it will take at least 3 months to get upgrade. But right now the scenario is different, but it's quite important that it's to be implemented. So that's the
Okay,
thing. I'm
so
just looking for an alternate solution.
in that case, as I said before, there are certain registry keys which needs to be modified, but that that is not giving that it has given a mixed kind of result for me. So that's why I'm not providing the exact registry key details. So you can very well try using that and adding that registry keys into the user machine and see whether it is picking up the cloud management gateway.
Okay. Yep.
Provided your machine is having the certificate.
Yeah, but during the
client
intranet,
authentication.
yeah, those clients are already part of intranet, and the root CA certificate are already being implemented via Active Directory. I mean via GP and all the machines. So,
Okay.
but right now the clients are in internet, so I'm just looking for an alternate solution. But anyway, just I will look for that option what you have said.
Yeah.
We try that.
Okay.
That's working. Thank you.
Rajul, can we configure CMG without PKI infra with Azure AD sync?
Your voice is very low. Can you speak a little louder?
Yeah, can we configure CMG without PKI infra with Azure AD sync?
Yes, that is where the enhanced HTTP comes into place. You don't need to use the PKI, and you can use the Azure AD. Well, if the machine is Azure AD joined, then you can use the Azure AD device token or user token, and it will communicate with the on-premise MP.
Hi, Rajul.
Yeah, hi.
This is Jay. Actually, I have a question. I have a CAS site and a primary. I've installed CMG role on CAS.
Okay.
Now the primary, what I had actually was working with PKI, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had the PKI certificates, server authentication and client authentication. Now, when I set up the CMG on cache, uh, how do I register the server authentication certificates, whether it should be on the cache and primary, both of them, or how it should work?
So you don't need any certificate on CAS because you won't be installing any MP role or any role on the CAS server, right? So you don't need any certificate on the CAS. You need certificate on the server where you are going to install the uh, connection point. If you are going to install the connection point on your primary, you need to install the connection point in primary, and you need to have the certificate on the MP, which will be the your HTTPS MP. So if you are
That's true. The question here is like when we configure the CMG and when we have a cache and a primary, then the CMG role which we will be configuring, the cloud management gateway role, that will be configured on the cache server, not on the primary,
yes,
right? So
yeah,
that will be
correct.
replicated to the primary. Now, when we configure the certificates like cloud app dot net, so the certificate again that has to be presented on the cache server, or again it has to be present on the primary only.
No,
Like
that has to be you have to provide that on the CAS when you deploy the CMG. You're talking
okay,
about the CMG certificate, right? So that should
yeah,
be
yeah,
provided by when you deploy the cloud management gateway, and that will be on the CAS.
yeah. So in that case, again we have to have that certificate on the cache, and then same certificate has to be on the primary, right?
That will be replicated. You don't need to make any changes on the primary.
We don't
That
need to make
comes
any.
with, yeah, that will be coming under the global replication.
So as I said that my existing primary was already on the PKI. So will it gonna automatically replace that existing certificate which I was using for
No,
PKI
no,
authentication?
that is you are talking about two different scenarios. Like the CMG certificate is different, and your hierarchy certificate is different.
Yeah. So because of I have only one MP because that the scenario I'm testing in my lab. So just wanted to know, do I need to configure another MP for CMG managing the CMG connections alternatively on another MP and the PKI to the different MP?
No, if you're testing this in lab, you can use on any MP. It's not a problem.
Okay. Okay, fine.
Okay, last couple of this is Anoop here. Okay, so we are already running late. So it's I don't know what's the time, 3:32 here. So last two questions.
Rizal, this is Anand, and I have one question. As you mentioned, there is a new feature in a 22 version, that token-based authentication. That with the token-based authentication, we can uh, integrate end-user device in cloud management. So for that, we need to upgrade end-user devices on a latest SCCM version, or
Yes, that 2002 agent is a must. So you need to use the latest version of the CCM setup.
okay. In that case, we need to end-user device need to be connected on a on-premise network to
No,
upgrade the client version.
you can create the client configuration package, or you can use the the client configuration package creator tool and create the package and provide it through an FTP or whatever method you want.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for answering.
Okay, the last question.
Hey, Rajul. Last question, me. So just one, it's a very quick one.
Yeah.
If you go to Open Software Center, you see computer maintenance, right? There is an option called allow patches or applications to install or uninstall outside of business hours. I need to find out how many people are using this. Is there a way to a baseline or to a SCCM that we can find out?
You're talking about the options, right?
Yep.
Karthik again, is this related to CMG?
Well, no, but kind of yes, because now I am in an IBCM position where people are rebooting and the application is not coming. So I'm just thinking if this could be an option where why it is not coming, then I want to find out stats on it. So it's kind of interlinked. That's it.
Karthik, you can take a consultancy package and pay for it and probably provide. So
I am already doing that.
Because like we don't have any kind of ready-made answer to this kind of questions, right? Because
I know.
Yeah, so it's very difficult to answer in this kind of a forum.
Okay, so just yeah, I mean, if you don't know the answer, it's absolutely fine. I was just putting
basically,
Yep.
we will not be able to say it from the behavior. We need to look a lot of things: your deployment settings, your logs, your how it is deployed. All those things we need to check, right? So we cannot directly tell whether this setting will work or not. That is not possible,
No,
right?
but this has nothing to do with logs. This is a user setting, and it's coming by default. We have no control as an admin.
Okay.
The only thing that
I
we can
guess you
control
can use
is
the baseline. You can use the baseline if you can able to query the WMIC, or if you have the script or something, you can use baseline.
well, I tried with CCM client WMA class, but it is not pulling this information. It pulls me only the business hour information. So I was just trying to find out if anyone has done it.
Anyways, Karthik, I think we have
Yeah,
to
no
stop.
problem, Anup. Thanks.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry for that.
let's stop. No problem. Thanks.
So thank you very much, Rajul, for the presentation. It was super useful. I feel like from my side, it was very super useful because I learned a lot of stuff. Yeah, Rajul is always like from a CMG perspective and for other perspective as well. He is like a to-go person, right, for many of the things, right? So thank you very much, Rajul, and virtual claps for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
One of the best session.
Thank you, Rajul. Thank you so much.